Welcome to Venezuela Insider, the only place in Venezuela for expats, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, investors, travelers, and related internationals. For more information, venezuelainsider.com.
We are going to see a recession yet again here in Venezuela. The thing is, sadly, yes, we are going to see, all indicates that we are going to see another recession here in Venezuela, but this time come with some caveats compared that on what we had the past 10 years or so. So let's start. This upcoming crisis that according to many is already here, a new recession in Venezuela. Yes, we are going to see a recession in Venezuela on what is left of the year and probably the next year as well. However, hold your horses is not supposed to be the draconian scenario that we had the past 10 years when the economy collapsed 80%, the Venezuelan GDP collapsed 80% on the past decade, but those were completely different reasons and was a completely different animal. What we are going to see on this year and probably next year as well is a demand side recession. What does it mean? Well, of course, when you have economics and basic economic theory is that you have supply and demand. What we had on the past, it was a supply side crisis, a supply side recession, depression, because recession doesn't even cover what we experienced. But what we are going to see, and we are seeing on certain degree, is a demand side recession. And on this particular case, a demand side recession is when just the population cannot afford the prices, the current prices on the status quo that we have on the economy. Everything is too expensive for the average consumer. So when you have power consumption, that is weakened because we have low salaries, low productivity still, and of course the purchasing power has been increasing in Venezuela in the past 5 years from pretty much nothing to right now some decent purchasing power. Also, you have to add that in Venezuela we don't have access to credit, especially for consumer credits to be like buying a used car or just getting financing for paying for a trip, for a holiday, or maybe just buying an appliance or a smartphone or some technology equipment and clothing and so on and so on and so on. So the prices are too high right now in Venezuela for the average Venezuelan. And there is a saying on economics that the cure for high prices are high prices because at some point people cannot afford it. Now, why this time is different from the past 10 years or so? Because back then the economy was full standardized on using the Venezuelan bolivar, and back then the government can just print a lot of money and create a high inflation. And after hyperinflation, that we discussed that, so we're not going to beat that dead horse yet again. What we have right now is an economy that is being de facto dollarized. So, on this case, the Venezuelan government cannot print the USD. So, people have to sort it out on what they have at the moment regarding USD liquidity, and it's not sufficient in order to cover the high prices that they are seeing every single day. So what we have is just the prices are either going to need to be competitive from the private sector in order to be affordable, to be accessible to the average Venezuelan, or the business is going to collapse. And until a certain degree, we are seeing a price reduction on real estate, some real estate, used cars, some leisure and hospitality, some discretionary goods and services, and is gonna, of course, when you reduce a lot the price, the demand is gonna follow and is gonna try to catch up. But right now we are not on this match between prices that are declining, but not that haven't been declining enough, and of course that's the prices, the supply side, and on the demand side still are not low enough in order to the demand to keep up. Now, why is different to the past decade recession is because that quote unquote recession, this is an understatement to call it a recession, is that back then everything that on the economy that got destroyed was basically you have to blame the government and of course the oil price. But this time it's not, let's say, incentivized by bad political decisions. This time it's just the market taking a particular dynamic that it doesn't allow the high prices. The average Venezuelan cannot afford high prices. Back then was just the terrible economic policies. They seriously harmed the private sector. The private sector started to shrink and shrink and shrink. And back then the public sector was way much important on the Venezuelan economy rather than now. And what happened is that the public sector depends heavily on oil production, and when you saw the decline on the price of the crude oil and also by their own incompetence, they destroy the oil economy here on the country, and of course that affected not only the public sector but the private sector, the remains of the private sector back then. Since 2018, we have been seeing a steady increase of the private sector on the Venezuelan economy and the non-oil economy. And of course, the oil economy has contributed significantly. No, you cannot disregard in a country like Venezuela the contribution of the oil economy. However, what happened back then, it was just terrible, bad policies that had to be halted, and apparently that's what happened starting 2018. Right now, it's not, well, of course, the economic policies of the government still affect the Venezuelan economy, but not at the same degree. Right now, it's just typical supply-demand dynamics on any given economy, and recession what does create let's say the silver lining of a recession is that it depurates all the bad businesses, the bad deals, and also try to mitigate the prices, the ridiculous and unreasonable prices that you see on the economy overall right now. So what is going to happen? I don't know. But what I can say is probably we are not going back to this draconian situation on 2017 where you had empty shelves on the grocery store and you had pretty much non-existent supply of goods and services. Right now we have a bunch of supply of goods and services, not on reasonable prices in many cases, and that's basically the biggest issue. And that's an issue that the market should correct. You know the old saying from Adam Smith, the invisible hand of the market should correct it this time.
Thank you for watching Venezuela Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. If you want to work with us, VenezuelaInsider.com. Thanks again and have a nice day.